We're now going to be hearing about AI as the new gatekeeper. Erin, we're all excited to hear from you. Come on up.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks. All right, everybody. Very excited to start. All right, so we have always been optimizing for people, right? Then we added platforms. And now we need to be thinking about perhaps the most powerful stakeholder of all, which is AI. And I know you've been listening to all kinds of sessions for the last day and a half about AI, and it's all about faster, better, cheaper, right? How do I optimize? In this instance, what I really want to focus on is AI as it relates to search. And it comes by many different names because the industry hasn't aligned on one yet, right? So it could be answer engine optimization, generative engine optimization, AI search, right? But ultimately, what I want to talk about is how AI is revolutionizing search as we know it. So recently, Omnicom Media Group just put out a study called The Future of Search. And in it, they looked at Google. And what it showed is that today, 86% of all Google searches return a generative element. So that could be an AI overview, it could be AI mode, but your standard Google right now is returning generative elements. So what does that mean? Well, 60% of the time when you get a generative element, you don't click out. Right? And so that has huge implications to the brands because that means reduced site traffic. So we've already seen about 20 to 30% reduction in site traffic. It means less traffic to publishers. We're seeing 30 to 40% reduction in traffic to publisher sites, right? So ultimately, these have really big implications. We're in Chicago, so I thought I'd take a really spicy topic in the big debate over our deep dish Chicago pizza. Who's from Chicago? Okay, so please bear with me as I go through this. So I asked Google to give a sense of just how different and how meaningful this change is. Give me the best deep dish pizza in Chicago. And this is literally what it wrote me back. I have not altered it in any way, because I know Giordano's is a spicy subject. Is that the best or is it not? But here you'll see it gave me Giordano's, Pizzeria Portofino, right? It gave me social proof in the stars. It also then went on to give me Eater, Time Out Chicago, right? But ultimately, all of these things helped me, the user, to choose where I wanted to go next, right? I would click out to learn more about it. I did the same thing in ChatGPT. And here's what I got. My recommendations for where you should go. Given your background, I'd recommend going to Pequod's, right? Because it is a local legend vibe, right? I see some nodding, okay? In order of preference, here's what it's recommending and why. Note there are no links. Then, at the end, it gives me a wine recommendation. I didn't ask for a wine recommendation, but it gave me one, right? So the difference between these two things is quite interesting because first, it's highly personalized to me, okay? All of my searches, all of my travel, everything that I look up through ChatGPT, that's part of its knowledge set of what it knows about me. So if I type in best deep dish pizza in Chicago, my answer is going to be different than almost every other person in this room. Here's another fun stat. 15 to 20% of the time, there is an overlap between what you get in Google and what you get in ChatGPT. Only 15 to 20% of the time, right? So not only is it hyper-personalized to me, it didn't give me links. It gave me a definitive answer. This is where I should go. So AI search isn't giving me options. It's now giving me answers, right? I don't get the links out. That's why my traffic to my site is going down, right? Which means AI is now in control of my brand narrative, right? I'm not going to the brand site. It's taking all of that information, it's synthesizing it, and giving me answers. This is where this gets even more interesting. So if we think about what this means for commerce, so Profound just did a study, and it showed that 33% of the time, 1 in 3 times, whether I ask for a product recommendation or not, AI is giving me one. And 41% of the time, it's actually giving me a brand name option. Again, whether I ask for it or not. So that's really interesting. But what made me literally fall out of my chair about 2 weeks ago was this interesting stat from Euromonitor. So Euromonitor crunched the numbers and found ChatGPT is now the 5th largest e-commerce site if you look at it based on US daily traffic for purchasable products, okay? 5th largest. And I don't think we've fully appreciated just how big that is. Now, since I submitted this presentation, there have been an insane amount of commerce deals that have been announced. So it started with Shopify, right? Then it went to Walmart. And late last week, Instacart and PayPal. So instant checkout from ChatGPT Chat is coming, right? In the next weeks, it should be here to all of us. So again, if you go back and you think about the journey, right, the purchase journey as it exists in AI, it is profoundly different. It is significantly faster. Many people believe it's 3 times faster than what we experienced in classic search. So AI, I would argue, is probably one of the most powerful stakeholders we've ever experienced. And for the first time in history, we have a platform that is hosting information, it's adjudicating credibility, and it's deciding what information to give to all of us. That's real power, right? And it should scare everyone in this room for a lot of reasons. Because today, if you aren't visible to the AI, you're invisible, right? You're not discovered. It's not showing you as an answer. And instead of 8 to 10 blue links that we all grew used to where we would click out, now if you're lucky, maybe it's recommending 3 products. So our job as communicators is to make sure our clients are one of those 3 answers, right? That we're showing up, that our clients are visible and favorable. Now here's the good news. Earned media is the background of trust in AI search. The AI is answering so many questions, right? It's got hundreds of millions of prompts being thrown at it. It is looking for sources of truth to give you the best, most credible answer because it knows that sometimes it doesn't get it right all the time. So it looks to earned media to give you that external validation. So that also means that every headline, quote, press release, review trains the AI because the AI doesn't trust you out of the gate. You could be a billion-dollar brand. You have to earn trust in the AI system. You have to give it a knowledge graph of why it should trust you and for what things it should be trusting you. But unfortunately, the AI doesn't just see earned media. LLMs were trained on the open web. So it sees everything that we see on the open web. That means it sees the bias, it sees the political vitriol, it sees hate, it sees misinformation, disinformation, it sees inaccurate information, it sees deep fakes, right? Both image and video. So Reuters just did a study in June of this year. And so they looked in the US and they asked, could everybody discern real news versus fake news? And what they found was 73% of the time, people in the US said they're having a really hard time telling what's true and false when it comes to online news, right? So think about what I was saying to you, right? The AI is trained on the open web. We, as humans, are having a really hard time telling what's true or false. AI is now a gatekeeper, right? Answering the questions, right? Summarizing all of the information for all of us. And we as humans, 3 in 4 of us, are saying we're having a really hard time telling what's true and what's not true in online news. Now here's another really interesting point. We've all been in this industry for a long time, and we know when there's a bad story or something negative, right? It could be a news cycle, maybe it's 2 news cycles. In AI, misinformation, inaccurate information doesn't just trend, it actually embeds in the AI, right? So it could take months, years, decades. In fact, right now, we're working with a client who has misinformation that's showing up in their AI visibility from 1980. That's 50 years, right? And so now we've got to clean that out. So if you have not been monitoring what the AI thinks about your brand in AI search, you need to start doing that right away. You need to understand, what is it saying about you? Are you visible? Or is it talking about you favorably? How do you compare to your competitors, right? Because you too could have misinformation or negative information that's in there that's just completely inaccurate. So where does that leave all of us in this room? So as I said, we really need to start writing for and influencing humans. And I think the first panel actually talked about humanity, right? And thinking about humans. 100% we need to be influencing more. We need to lean into our core skill of influencing humans. But we also need to expand that and understand, how are we going to influence machines? Because make no mistake, our role just got a lot more complicated and a lot harder. Because now we have 2 core groups that we need to be thinking about as we write our press releases, as we develop our campaigns, as we think about the media lists and the influencer lists that we're coming up with. We need to be working against both of these 2 audience segments to make sure that in today's world, we're being visible, favorable, and credible on behalf of our clients. So I want to leave you all with some trust levers that you should start to think about and activate against right now. In order to drive trust in AI, AI is looking for authority. We need to make sure that our clients are seen as a source worth citing, okay? So easier said than done, Erin, right? Well, not really. We do a lot of executive visibility, right? We do a lot of conferences. We do a lot of speaking. What we need to do is create author pages on our site that actually harnesses all of that, so that when the AI is looking to figure out, oh, should I trust this source as part of my answer, that you're showing up as a credible source. The second thing is clarity. The AI is actually really lazy, okay? So it has a lot of work to do to answer your prompts as quickly, efficiently, and accurately as humanly possible. And so we need to make sure that we are structuring what we're putting out there in a way that is extremely clear. It loves FAQs. It loves comparisons. You're helping it do its job, right? So the more that we can make it easy for the AI to understand how to talk about a problem, a product, a situation, the more you're going to get referenced and cited and trusted by the AI. The third is consistency, and this is really important. AI search is a team sport. I say this all the time across Omnicom. You can't win just with earned alone. You need to actually introduce yourselves to the SEO team, right? To whoever controls the website. You need to make ways and friends in the commerce team, right? These are your new best friends. Because when AI is looking to decide if they're going to talk about you or your competitor in that answer, they're looking for consistency. So we need to make sure that the information is consistent across all of these channels so that the AI says, yes, I see this in multiple spaces, you're credible, I'm going to reference you. Oops. Recency. I don't know about you, but when I go on ChatGPT, I am always telling it a date, right? Give me the best new product for blah, blah, blah. Show me citations in the last 6 months, right? I am always telling it I want recent information. So for all of us, we need to make sure that the information we're putting out there actually has dates on it. Right? It's really simple. That alone gives you a lot of trust with the AI. So everything from awards, accolades, claims, all carry a lot of weight in the AI because they're dated. So that's another great use case. Okay, don't know why it's not turning. Okay. Usefulness. Another thing that's really important to think about is usefulness. So AI actually has a bias towards action. Okay, so it doesn't just want information, nice information, it wants to solve for an outcome. Because remember, if you go back to what I said earlier, right, 30% or a third of the time, AI is recommending a product to you whether you've asked for it or not, right? So it is biased towards giving you actions to take. So making sure that the information we're putting on there will move towards usefulness is very, very helpful. Okay, this clicky is on its last legs. Okay, so as AI becomes the new gatekeeper, right? It's a gatekeeper, it's a stakeholder, it's an audience. We need to be thinking about how everything that we do, that we become the communicators that are the architects of trust, right? Because we need to help the AI understand what is fact, what is fiction, and why they should trust our clients as it's giving those 3 answers, okay? Because now, to be visible, right, we're going through a purchase journey that is exceptionally condensed. So we're also, for the first time in history, looking at how earned can, in a way that isn't polluted by paid yet, drive sales, right, is another way to think about it. We can directly attribute the work we're doing to sales lift in this new world order as well. So I really encourage all of you to think about how you can become architects of trust in this new world order. And thank you.